What do you think when a robotics company comes into an old industry? Do they shake it up, tell everyone that their old technology is out of date, make things so complex that only people with PhDs can understand what's going on? I think that's the fear of a lot of people, especially people outside of robotics. But it's not always the case. In this episode, I speak with Ben Alfi, CEO and co-founder of Bluewhite Robotics, a robotics startup in agriculture that just closed their Series C investment round. Bluewhite is doing something different. They're trying to blend in. They want to make it easy for farmers so they can use their existing equipment, work with the same dealers, and do things their way, all while adding robots to make things more efficient and especially get the work done in spite of increasing labor shortages. You'll like this episode if you're interested in robots in agriculture, the ethics of disruptive tech, and a clever business model that creates opportunities for more jobs. I'm Audrow Nash. This is my podcast. I hope you enjoy my interview with Ben Alfi. Hi, Ben. Would you introduce yourself?
I am very happy to be here today. My name is Ben Alfi, and people call me Alfi. Too many years in the Air Force, so you've been called by your surname. And I'm 50 years old, very young entrepreneur though, only 6 years in the startup ecosystem,
Wow.
and
Okay.
CEO and founder of Blue White.
Yes, and tell me about Blue White.
Well, Blue White is a data-driven autonomous farm company.
Mm-hmm.
We are dealing and assisting how to create disruption around the autonomy in the agriculture market. And the way we do it, we are bolting in existing tractors, transform them to autonomy, adding
Mm-hmm.
a kit on it, and in that way, one person can operate different type of tractors in his farm with an iPad or a laptop or a cell phone, whatever he needs. And the idea is that with the labor shortage today in the market and the idea of food is getting more and more expensive, Blue White is creating a model that enables the adoption quite fast by dealing with the existing people you have, and the existing tractors you have in the field. What's
Mm-hmm.
nice about what we're doing is that we're focusing in permanent crops, meaning vineyards, citrus, apples, almonds, and, and such alike, what has been called as high value crops. So it's all year long, a lot of tractors per acre for the same area. So these are the places that the labor shortage is very high and the need and the demand is very high. And on the
Mm-hmm.
technological side, which you are very keen on, you and the listeners, these are areas with no connectivity, no GPS. So relying on standard GPS or standard connectivity won't get you anywhere. And so we
Mm-hmm.
have nice technology, which I'm sure we'll dig into along the discussion.
We definitely will. Okay. So, going back just a little bit, you brought up a lot of very interesting things there. First, you mentioned it's a kit. So, you're bolting it to existing tractors. Tell me a bit about why take that approach and what that actually means. So you have like a box you're just strapping on to tractors and then integrating into the system, or what does it mean?
It means that we are a commercial autonomous company. So
Mm-hmm.
today the go-to market is a dealership of John Deere or New Holland are
Mm-hmm.
selling and installing on tractors blue-white capabilities. And how does it go? We're sending like an IKEA kit
Mm-hmm.
to a dealership. A dealership has an order from a grower that he wants his existing fleet to transform to autonomy. They
Mm-hmm.
take his tractors. In the morning, the tractor is totally manual. nothing happened on it, and in the afternoon it's autonomous. After two people worked on it for a few hours, and
Mm-hmm.
after checkups, after all the integration, after all the sensor integration and everything, from actuation to being connected to the cloud, so you can start operating it, and that's about it. This is just the first
Awesome.
phase. The second phase is how to implement it in the farm itself. And this is also
Yes.
something that we're helping, or the dealership can do it also.
Okay, so tell me more about this kit. So when these two people are installing it in just a few hours, what are they taking as a component, and then
Mhm.
how are they connecting it to the tractor or whatever equipment you're going to automate?
So it depends on how smart the tractor is. Most of the tractors today are just manual tractors with no
Mm-hmm.
computer on it. Some of them already are digital in some places, and some of them in the future will be drive by wire, so you can actually can connect to some kind of a computer and work it. And the way it's done today, the kit includes actuation on
Mm-hmm.
the gas brake, the digital electric gear, and another component will be the sensing, front sensing, and other sensors that will go and to understand what is happening. So it's the
Mm-hmm.
actuations are the muscles, the ability to move the muscles. The sensing is the ability to sense and understand what's going on around me. And you cannot depend just on one sensor. It can be a GPS, LiDAR, visual, and others, because we're doing
Mm-hmm.
sensor fusion. A set of communication and compute, because you need also onboard computing, because the tractor, if it doesn't have connectivity, still needs to know how to drive safely in a good way, even without somebody looking after him.
Very cool. It's really cool to me that you are outfitting tractors that may have no digital systems in it, like purely mechanical
Mhm.
tractors.
Most of them are today. We're guessing in five
Wow.
years it will be different, but what most of them are just without anything. Maybe some kind of a canvas to identify faults, like oil status, or fuel gauges, or other things like that. But most of them are really classic mechanical tractors.
Mm-hmm. And then so you'll have like, I don't know, it probably looks like a cam or like a little foot, and you put it on a servo, and then that servo can push the accelerator and push the brake. Another one will push the brake. So part of the technicians installing this, part of their work is to place these motors in a place that they're actually accessing the controls. Is it correct?
You're doing it on top. Look at it as if it's like a
Oh.
handicapped vehicle. So this is, but it's these are these are off the shelf capabilities. The big things are the
Mm-hmm.
algorithms and being smart behind it and understanding how to operate with the same software on all those different type of tractors, different type of crops, day and night, and also different type of implements. Whatever
Yeah.
is in the back, we're not just tractoring. We need to do make sure the job is being done.
Yeah. So not just tractoring, what other jobs or what other vehicles are you automating?
So it's when we say not just tractoring, it means that the tractor needs to mow, to spray, to herbicide, to
Ah,
pesticide. Whatever is at the back over there needs to be very accurate. You need to know if it's working correctly. We are
ah,
saving so much money on chemicals, so much to the earth on putting just extra chemicals on the vineyard or almond trees. Our sensors understand if there is or there isn't a tree, so you can stop the sprayer, start the sprayer. Is it a big tree, a
very
small
cool.
tree? Is it at the end of the row and now you just need to stop it? Today, it doesn't happen. Today,
Yeah.
people just spend more and more chemicals, and it's not good for the people that are driving next to it. and dying from
Mm,
cancer too early, and it's not good for the environment.
definitely. Yeah, I do think that there's a lot of opportunity for robotics to improve environmental things by making it so that you don't have to do as much fertilizer or pesticides or something like this
Yep,
because you can have more targeted use or through automation
exactly.
and also maybe more persistent use because you can have it running more frequently versus having to spray more heavily because you're going to run less frequently because people are scarce or something like this.
And availability, you're doing it not at the correct timing, or the
Definitely.
weekend costs you 150% because of the labor cost, or nighttime
Ah,
is too costly, and then you are not doing it at the correct time, so you just
ah,
overspray, overuse of the chemicals,
yep.
and also think of the amount of tractors that you need in the farm. We are saving around 35% of the amount of tractors you need because they can do double
That's
shift.
so cool.
And we're saving 85% on the chemicals because we're doing it accurately.
Okay. So that sounds wonderful to me. I want to understand the system really well
Hmm.
before, and I want to get into like the cloud infrastructure and everything that you guys provide. But so you have actuators that are moving the tractor and controlling things. What kinds of sensors do you typically use? Because you mentioned you're often in GPS or connectivity denied environments. What are you relying on? And you mentioned sensor fusion, but how are you approaching it from a sensing perspective?
And I think this is a key question, also a key way of how we're approaching it. And
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about autonomous vehicles for quite a long time. There are very few companies that can say that they are commercial in autonomous vehicles like Bluewhite.
Definitely.
And being commercial means that you need redundancies and you need to be safe, first and
Mm-hmm.
foremost. It's easy to demonstrate a tractor running in the farm or in the field, but it's totally different to have 50,000 hours of those tractors running around day and night, a
Wow.
few tons tractors with the grower. So how do we do that? It's all about redundancies. And the way we are creating those redundancies is by creating parallel navigation solutions. It can be a navigation solution done by GPS and RTK, where you have it. It can be a navigation
Mm-hmm.
solution by a LiDAR, which is an amazing sensor. Uh, a lot of people invested through the urban mobility companies who
Mm-hmm.
invested in so many sensing, and we're taking those capabilities off the shelf to the agriculture space. So LiDAR
Mm-hmm.
sensor, visual sensors, odometry, and other tricks that we have added inside. And think of it that you're driving, and all the time the computer gives you four types of solutions. So you can have decision making who is now incorrect because they are checking each other.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see abnormality, uh, you can decide who should be the main navigation system. For example, a vineyard during autumn, and it's open skies, a good reception. Give the GPS and RTK, let them have the number one, and keep the
Mm-hmm.
LiDAR and visual as obstacle detection only.
Mm.
Almond trees, August, 120 degrees Fahrenheit in Fresno, California, and under the foliage at night. No reception, no nothing. So you'll give the odometry and the LiDAR, you'll let them be number one and two. And then you'll put the visual number three. And then, only then, you just not rely, but
GPS.
understand where you are in the other one. So this is,
Mm-hmm.
and all this is happening automatically. You as a
Ah,
operator
I was
are
just gonna
not
ask.
deciding what is, because the operator is, somebody who doesn't understand technology. Everything needs to be very simple. Stop, play, spray, mow. This is the speed I want. This is the block I want. Other than that,
Mm-hmm.
we are counting on the machine to be safe. So the machine automatically knows, hey, I'm in an almond block. It's summer. this is what I see. I understand what should be the prioritization. I will give certain prioritization, but if something is changing at real time, I will change prioritization accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
And unlike
So,
urban mobility, at the end of the day, it's only up to 5 miles per hour. So I just stop.
yeah, that's a big advantage that makes this problem a lot easier, even though it's super hard, is that you can just stop. Like, something's weird with the connectivity, just stop, and it's not that big of a deal.
Uh,
Um,
It is a
yeah, go
big
ahead.
of a deal on the quality of work, and the idea that
Yes.
we're not stopping a lot is great. But on the
Yep.
safety issue, it's much a bigger of a deal if you have a safety event. So
Yes, for sure.
this is how we're working.
Yeah. So you have several different tracks that are all figuring out localization independently, and you can figure out which of those you want to listen to. So I'm imagining like a weighted consensus for figuring out where you are. And you mentioned that it changes based on certain factors, like if you have the almond trees and they're blocking out GPS or whatever it might be. Then you switch to just using sensors on the robot. How are you picking between this? Because you mentioned that the farmer doesn't have to do it. Is it like you do an evaluation of the environment and then you use the environment and your sensor availability and maybe some other heuristics like time of day to select a weighting for these different localization types? Or how do you pick from there?
Okay, so um, I've tried to simplify it, but it's complicated.
I'm
So
sure.
the way it's happening is that you can have basic assumptions upon time of day, where I am, what is the field, what is the mission, spray,
Hmm.
mow. If I mow, there will be more dust. If I'm spraying, there will be more
Oh, that's very
humid, things
interesting.
like that.
Okay.
So what do I depend on? After that, how old is the orchard? Is it a young orchard, an old orchard? A lot of things like that are happening also. And also in the algorithms that we're using, should we rely on the classic algorithms or the AI? The AI is
Hmm.
much more flexible, yet less predictable. It needs more
Hmm.
maturity. So these are the balance. Do I have an AI algorithm that is running well enough and mature enough and got a good scoring already that I can give it, let him be a part of the decision making, or it will be still piggyback, just riding along and collecting hours until the
Hmm.
true false and the false truths will be um, in a good way. So it helps. AI helps for scale. Classic
Yep.
algorithms helps for starting to run, and these are
Hmm.
balances. And what is nice that it happens in a way that it's transparent. So you have around four types of sensors and around, let's say, anything between 8 to 16 types of solutions that are running.
Hmm.
And that way you are able to run. Some of them is based on pre-assumptions, but real life scenario, what actually is happening can change the assumptions in real time. And then at the post-processing, the planning for next time will be, okay, this block, the pre-assumptions were wrong. These are the pre-assumptions that should happen.
Hmm. That seems very cool. Okay. And so you have your tractors. Your tractors have these actuators to control them, and then they have these sensors that you are using to figure out things like localization. And then you have your implement, which is whatever you're towing. It's the mower, it's the sprayer, these kinds of things. Are you putting sensors on the implement, on the sprayers? I'm calling it the right thing.
Yes, you
Implement
are.
is what we.
Yes, yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
So if we put it, are you putting sensors on the implement, or how are you evaluating what how you're doing? I guess with the implement, or do you just have a model of what it is that you're towing and when do you turn it on and off, or how sophisticated is your control of the implement?
So just like the relationship we have with the tractor is that we don't own the tractor. The tractor is the growers or the
Mm-hmm.
OEMs. We are blending in. Same is the idea with the implements. And
Cool.
and the implements where we because we are commercial, the benefit for the implement providers or makers is that they want to work with us, and we provide APIs and help them how to make their implement smart. There is a sprayer and there is a smart sprayer. And so if I have enough information, and what we're doing, we have four grades, four levels of how smart an implement should be.
Mm-hmm.
First one is on and off. Can I operate? Can I just switch it on and off? Then
Yep.
how can I assure the quality of the work? Can I adjust the altitude of the mower with a sensor, yes or no? Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
the company that created that mower, they will talk to us and we'll help them how to adjust and what should be implemented, and they will do it. And some
Oh.
places will just add sensors in key areas. Uh, for scale, we see ourselves more of helping those companies creating the next generation and make them what we call the implements blue white ready.
Mm-hmm.
So it's on off, sensing on the quality of work. What we call also about we talk about preemptive maintenance. If I
Oh, I love
know
that.
that I can drive at a certain PTO level, a certain engine RPM, and it drives 2 miles per hour. And now I see that I need to have more force and nothing has really happened. Okay, what is happening over there with the mower? What is happening over there with the
Mm.
implement? And the last thing is the ability to report and to also control nozzles, certain nozzles to shut off,
Ah.
certain nozzles to open. These are things that we're doing. And in that way, working with the implement companies or enabling by ourselves in certain areas, this is how we're doing those capabilities.
Hmm. Okay, I like that a lot. And those are very exciting. Like the maintenance one in particular is very, very exciting to me.
It's huge.
Um,
Real
yeah,
time
for
for
sure.
safety, what we call critical understanding.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how we are neglecting the understanding of a person that is running, just understand something just went wrong. And
Mm-hmm.
how do we understand the same thing? Noise, vibration, and something is stuck. I need more power, all kinds of things like that.
Anything anomalous. Yeah,
Exactly,
something's different. Something
exactly,
might have happened.
exactly.
Yeah. I think that's one of the huge gains, I think, from automating these systems. So it sounds to me like the core competence of your business of Blue White is to create this mobility kit for farm vehicles. And then an added thing, it's almost like a side business within it, is to um, expose what you're doing and give yourself systems so you can control implements and you can help other companies to make their implements work well with your systems. And so it's outside of your work, but other companies can be lucrative, can have lucrative jobs of just retrofitting or designing their systems to work well with your system. Is it
Uh,
correct that there's kind of these two parts
First of all, we see ourselves also responsible to make it happen with
to
them.
help them?
And I
Oh,
think
definitely.
there is a huge element that we disregard until now is the operating system.
Oh, okay.
So this is why we see ourselves as data-driven autonomous farm and not aftermarket kit for autonomy. What does it
Yeah.
mean? It means that in a certain farm, you don't have just John Deere, you don't have just New Holland, you don't have just one type of tractor, you have different types. And you don't
Mm-hmm.
want as an operator now to have six type of operating systems because you have six type of tractors or
Mm-hmm.
implements or crop. One
Yeah, you
operating
want one
system
system.
knows how to
Mm-hmm.
operate everything. And the last layer is that those tractors are running. Sensors are there already. They collect a lot of data. There is no reason not to share that data with the grower, with the farm manager, with the agronomist, with whatever agriculture company that the grower wants to work with, that wants to do yield prediction or weather, or his insurance company that he wants to show them that his farm is working
Oh.
correctly. So the ability to be also data enabler for the grower, for ourselves, to give him operational insight, to share it with third party that can give him also agriculture insight, all that. This is how we look ourselves as a full package.
Yes, yeah, it's the whole vertical stack of
Exactly.
farming
Exactly.
using large machinery.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, okay, I love that. Tell me more about the cloud component. Like, what's actually, I guess the first thing, because I kind of like going up the stack. So we started
Yeah.
from actuators, then we go to sensors, and then implements included in that. Then after it's how are we sending data to the cloud? Like, how does that actually work? Where, because you're in these connectivity design, these connectivity denied environments. Is there like a home base that the tractor returns to where it has uploadability, or how does this work?
This is one of the biggest things that we didn't know that we didn't know.
Yeah.
And I think we have achieved, first and foremost, on the system engineering. And
Hmm.
the second is how to actually make it happen. What is the relationship of a cloud-based operating system and what we know from other markets, our IoT device? So if we use, look at this robot as an IoT
Oh yeah.
device, um, one thing, what is needed to be computed on the tractor? Okay, now how do I also relay? Okay, you are the user, you're operating. It was under the
Hmm.
foliage running all that row for like half a mile. Okay, how do I know what happened? When should I know? Should I know it at real time? Should I do an assumption and then upload it? How do you
Hmm.
also cache it correctly to the operating system so it won't be an overlapping of what really happened? So
Yeah.
this is the coordination that we've done. There are some things that are we've created a section of what is really, really important. Okay, where are
Hmm.
you? Or stop, start. I want you to stop
Yeah.
now. I
Very
want you to
important.
start. Okay. Then what do I? Okay. How is the? Are you healthy? What is going on? Do you need my help?
Hmm.
What is really happening? Oh, the data of the camera to collect it now on the on your cell on your onboard computer. But when I need
Hmm.
it, upload it when I need it or when I ask for it or at the end of the shift. Not all the information is important right now.
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
black box. It is a machine. Something will happen.
Hmm.
I need a black box to understand when a fault has happened. Do a record. I need you to record all the time and track
Oh,
what has happened so I can extract logs and
just
all those layers of information. So some of it will be on the cloud. Some
yep.
of it will be on the endpoint on the computer itself, and it should be synced in a way that it's not just overwriting, and I know exactly from which tractor, and also privacy wise, also security wise, and all those layers.
Hmm. So it makes sense. You're prioritizing what to send out first, given your connectivity and things like this. When you were mentioning the black box, I was a bit confused initially, but I think what you're referring to, it's like in airplanes, they have that box that's supposed to survive no matter
Yeah,
what.
yeah.
So there's an analogous system that records logs and things like this on tractors, I
Yes,
suppose. Is that
yes.
correct?
Although there is
Ah,
no definition that it should be,
yep.
we are coming back from 20 years of autonomous vehicles, mostly air vehicles and others, and
Hmm.
we believe that this is how it should be. So we created like under urban mobility standards and
Oh,
the
cool.
agriculture standards. So this is a great way to understand what has really happened,
Uh-huh.
that I can also pull on demand information to troubleshoot, understand what is happening, and also if
Hmm.
something has happened to know why it happened and where.
Yes, definitely. And then, so if you're in the situation where you're operating in a fully internet and GPS denied environment, so you just don't have access to those, maybe you then just tell the user. At first, you are operating in those kinds of environments where you have
Yes.
just no
So we
no
create,
connectivity.
yeah, we created local 5G networks as an example, worked with
Oh, so
Intel
do you
at the
put them
past.
throughout? Ah. Do you put them throughout the orchard or something like that, or
We try
so
not to
that your
spend too much
period?
money on infrastructure right now, and also to the
Yeah.
grower. You need it to be cost effective. Each farm somehow has an internet connection. It can be also at the farm manager's office.
Ah.
And from there,
So,
you are like linking with an antenna if needed with local 5G networks. And we're working with third
ah,
parties to enable that. We will see more and more symbiotic um, private
work
and
there.
public networks running together. And again, it should
Ah.
be transparent to the tractor and should be transparent to the tractor operator.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool. Okay, so you where there is GPS denied, not GPS, maybe you don't need GPS,
Connectivity
but where
denied,
there
let's
is
say.
denied,
Yeah,
you'll provide some infrastructure. And maybe the robot can go in and out of connectivity even still.
exactly.
But you still are checking in occasionally and prioritizing things like I can turn it off if I need,
Yeah,
or so it doesn't drop out for like huge
yeah,
periods of times, just maybe
yeah,
like a second here or
yeah.
a few
And
seconds
you,
there.
exactly. And you can also decide, how you wanna, what are the rules? Okay, if I have no
Mm-hmm.
connectivity, should I stop? Am I allowed to get until the end of the row? Before I turn at
Yeah.
the end of the row, should I stop and wait until there is connectivity? Is it a place? So the grower can decide what are the rules of
Mm-hmm.
okay, how free is that place from any others, just to run and play.
Mm-hmm. So, what strikes me with this is that the growers often have a lot of configuration available to them. So, if they want to set the rule, don't drive this far without connectivity or something, because I want to be able to shut you off at any time, or I don't know, maybe there's more specific like farm procedural stuff. One farmer wants to do it this way versus another
Exactly.
wants to do it that way. How do you manage and expose them, the growers, to that kind of configuration?
Mhm.
I imagine it's like customer onboarding and it's a one-time
Exactly.
infrastructure setup.
Exactly. Spot on.
So it is like
So
that?
it's the customer onboarding. And
Mm-hmm.
every in orchards you spray around 20 times a year for 20 years.
That's a lot.
So
Okay.
the idea is just these are the efforts at the beginning, and also we have our home recommendations. So I want
Mm-hmm.
it to be with recommendation and automatic. Okay, it's an almond orchard. This is how it looks. These are the automatic, but I want also the grower to have the ability to be flexible. If
Mm-hmm.
used, is used to skip every 2 rows. So what? I will give him a planning that it's automatically only every row. You just tell me how you want to do it. You want to skip every 3 rows, every 4 rows. You like different speed. Anything that you want
Mm-hmm.
should be addressable. And again, he has either a Blue-White team that is on the support online that he can get more help, or also dealerships that are helping him on the onboarding to do
Mm.
it. So he's not alone.
Gotcha.
Okay, this is the main idea, not to be alone, but tell me what to do, but also when I want to do something, let me have it. Let me do it. And as long as it's safe and it doesn't infringe safety, we will help.
It's all good. Yeah. So when you send out a person or a small team of people to onboard a new customer, is it um, like engineers are going out or is
Definitely
it
not.
technicians or okay, so a lot of this is exposed at a high level configuration and so you have
It's,
people that are
it's
like technicians or
operators.
how do you
It's even
it's operators.
just operators. We used to
Ah,
operate in the past. Now we're moving more from a service company to a product company because it's mature enough.
cool.
And but the know-how on how to do it, and to give to help adoption, to help
Yep.
the adoption, and to help the growers to use it in a good way. We're not talking
Mhm.
about a year of work. It's few days and you're good to go, or a day.
That's
It
awesome.
depends on how we have
How
growers
advanced the configuration.
who have 100,000 acres, of orchards.
Wow.
So it depends on how big you are.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome. So it sounds like these dealerships are really playing a critical role for you guys. So you were doing this yourself, but now you're letting them handle the setup and you're turning into more of a product company. Tell me more about the dealerships
And
and that
all the
partnership.
market is under transition. Think of it.
Mm-hmm.
Those dealerships have sold metal for the last century, and now they need to be precision providers. And there is a lot of discussion about it. Okay,
I
how?
love the sold metal. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big question of are we when a dealership is installing a kit on a tractor, and we want to see that every section was done correctly. Um, will he be opening a Jira ticket? Yes or no? Can he do it? Yes
Yeah.
or no? And we found that the dealerships they understand that they must be able to do it. They must.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, we are working with them together, hand in hand, on how to do it correctly. So the
Mm-hmm.
technicians are also, it's not a software technician, it's not DevOps, but it's what we are starting to see in the world as a robotic technician. So it's 95% of their job will be on the mechanical side or concept
Mm-hmm.
or operation side. But when needed, yes, you open a laptop and connect.
Wow. How how large is your operation with everything? Like how many dealerships are you working with? How many robots are you deployed
So
on? How
we
many
are just
farms?
at the first years. We are now seeing ourselves growing more and more. We have around
Mm-hmm.
100 tractors running around already, and there are
Mm-hmm.
400,000 tractors waiting for aftermarket just in permanent crops.
Yeah.
Our goal is to get to 10,000 in the next few years with those dealerships together.
Wow.
And this is an amazing experience. And main idea is how do you grow while making sure that safety is a top
Mm-hmm.
priority? How do you grow where gross margin is important for yourself, for the dealerships, and also
Mm-hmm.
for the growers to have a positive ROI? We
Mm-hmm.
have all that fixed, and now we're just scaling more and more capabilities, and it's like a spiral development,
Mm-hmm.
and more like the metrics in a way that okay, I didn't know how to run in apples trees. And now I know. I didn't know how to do spraying. Now I know. So another capability
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
along the life of the project.
Yeah. Okay. And you mentioned spiral development. So it means gradually. Can you describe the spiral to me
Yeah,
with
sure.
that? Like you're adding more
It's
features as you're going?
yeah, it's kind of an agile process, yet you can see it in a long-term roadmap. Okay, how many type of tractors do you know how to transform? So we know around 20 already. How
Mm-hmm.
many type of crops do you know? So we started with almonds, then pistachio, then
Mm-hmm.
trellis alike, then citrus, then apples, then all the others. How many types of
Mm-hmm.
implements you know? We started with spraying, then herbicide, then mowing. Now we're doing harvesting with a harvesting company.
Oh,
So all
wow.
those capabilities that you're adding, and it's great because we are transparent also with the dealerships, transparent with the growers. They know what to expect along their upcoming years. All the
Mm-hmm.
updates are over the cloud, and it's
Awesome.
again in a way that you can enable progress without buying a new iPhone every year.
Because it keeps shipping updates for this
Exactly.
kind of thing, so they don't have to necessarily buy more tooling. I would even imagine that if, say, you upgrade or something, you can just add more compute. You can leave the sensors, you can leave the actuators, and so the upgrades may be somewhat painless.
Yes.
I mean, like relatively in terms of cost,
The
and
idea
they
on
probably
the
drop back into the same system.
Yeah, on the hardware, we're trying to maximize as much as possible. Those sensors are amazing and we can maximize much more. I gave you an example. We started with using the LiDAR for navigation, and now
Hmm.
we also know how to, with the blue spray, we know how to save on spraying because while you navigate, you know that there is a missing tree. Let's tell the sprayer to stop. So
Yeah.
these are examples of how you create more and more application along the years with the same hardware. And our goal is not to change hardware as often as others might do. We just don't want to go through that effort.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, especially if it's already working.
Yep.
Makes sense. Just keep going. Now, tell me about scaling. So, so you've gotten 100 tractors operating. How many hours,
We've done more
roughly?
than 50,000 hours already
That's
of
amazing.
autonomous running. Our growers have 300,000 acres. Even a grower, we're doing a roadmap with a grower who has a grower would have anything between 10 tractors to, I don't know, we have growers with 400 tractors. So you'll go with four
Yeah.
tractors and then 12 and then go up to 80% of the fleet. You don't need all the fleet.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
so this is
Because
the
it's more
idea of
efficient.
how
They can run at night.
it's a land and expand mode in a lot of places. We've been in California, then
Oh.
now we're also operating in Washington State. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to be in Europe, and I'm guessing by the end of the year, starting some checkups over there, and 2025 with more goals over there. And Australia is also with huge demand and asking us to come. I just
Wonderful.
find it hard to be awake on three continents at the same time. So we'll see how we're growing.
Yeah.
So the need is huge enough. The market is totally huge. There's enough room for another 10 blue whites in the world.
Yeah.
So,
Or way more
this is
because
how it is.
100 to 400,000. Yeah. And I mean, it'll be exciting. How, just for more context, how has growth been looking? I imagine it's on an exponential curve. Like in the next year, I would imagine maybe you have 1,000 tractors or something like this.
It
It's
depends
going to
what
pick
will be
up, but
the method that we want to do. We are
okay.
emphasizing ourselves this year. We are going out now with generation three.
Okay.
Generation one was to take the person out of the cabin, where
Hmm.
you still see in other autonomous companies in the world and in other areas, you still have a safety driver in the tractor.
Hmm.
Generation two was how that you don't need to look at the tractor; it can just run and
Hmm.
it will work and it will know when to stop or run and everything. You have the redundancies. And
Hmm.
generation three that we're now going out with is all the tractors are operated by the customer. And to be
Awesome.
operated by the customer, we are looking for all the feedbacks that will happen along the year and getting more and more
Hmm.
understanding what is needed. And then, boom, we can send the kit to
Really
a
shoot up.
dealership in Australia. We don't need to go there. Over the cloud, we know how to upload. He's doing the
Yep.
onboarding, and we're done.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Uh-huh.
it's more of stages and maturity, and
Hmm.
then you can keep on running.
I see. So if I understand correctly, then the scaling challenge at the moment is you're letting in only enough customers that you can handle the feedback, and then as you get ready, you'll take on more and more and more
Yeah.
until basically it's biting off what you can chew right at the moment.
Exactly. And in parallel,
Ah.
also creating the how do you educate a dealership to do all that work? How do you
Mm.
deal with uh, two sides, the customers, the dealership, and also your kits and, meantime between failures, meantime between losses and things like that, that you
Mm-hmm.
want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that you are maturing it and then you can scale it up. Part of this last round that we just closed, round
Mm-hmm.
C, was is around that area that we can be
Mm.
go to scale to the just like you talked, go to those big numbers
Yep.
and getting it from 0 to 1 is a one obstacle, then 1 to 10 is a huge obstacle,
Yep.
one
Yep.
10 to 100, and from 100 to 1,000, this is the area
Yep.
that we're dealing with now.
Every change in magnitude. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Just to get
T
a gas of how big of a market we're talking of, To operate a tractor today in California costs the grower $100,000
Ah,
yearly cost. Okay, 400,000 tractors are running, and think about the yearly cost that they're charging. So in the US it's more expensive, in other places in Europe is also as expensive.
yep.
So think about how much money we can reduce to the world on the operation cost, on the chemical cost, on the amount of tractors, and in that way also maybe to make sure that you and I can keep on eating food in a reasonable price.
Yeah.
Because fruit is getting more expensive, almonds, good food is just getting more and more expensive,
Hmm.
and we just need to control that. And on the other side,
Yeah.
the amount of money that the growers are willing to pay us because we save them money. So it's easy for them to
Ah,
say, oh, you give me 70% cost reduction. Yeah, sure,
wow.
you can have $30,000 a year on the tractor, no worries. Okay? So this is how big the market is.
Do you think that that kind of savings, like 70%, is feasible or
It's happening
what?
now. I think it can be
That's,
more. And this
do
is
you think
without
so?
dealing with the yield that the data can give you on even improving yield. But we just,
Oh, I love
our
that.
approach is, um, our approach is first and foremost, let's take down the operation cost.
Yep.
And
And
because
then
you
add
can compare
value.
it and then talk about
Mm-hmm.
yield because I can, okay, who will pay until yield is proven? This was the big
Mm-hmm.
question. And,
Mm-hmm.
it's season and every season and every time. So first of all, when you have certain cost and immediately downgrade the cost, it's automatically the grower sees it.
Mm-hmm. That's really remarkable. What do you think? So, as you guys get more economies of scale in what you're doing, you make
Hmm.
it so that the dealerships are the ones interfacing mostly with the customers. So, you're
Hmm.
not, and the dealerships are not fielding you many questions because most of the things the customer wants, you already support.
Yeah.
As you get that level of scale, what kind of reduction in tractor expenses do you expect? Do you think it could be like 90%? Like where's the upper limit of this? Would you
Uh,
imagine?
we will see. It's about trust. The more the trust
Yep.
and the adoption
Higher.
will be higher, we'll see
Hmm.
less and less. Our assumptions are was around 85% on cost and
Uh-huh.
around 30 to 40% on the amount of actual tractors that are needing. You need them to run around,
I love
and
that.
this is
Hmm.
um, this is huge amount of capabilities. It's the only way. Also, we're going to be 10 billion people at 2050, and the way we are making food today is just not enough to
Hmm.
feed everybody. So
Yeah, and that
this is a critical part.
I agree. And then also, getting into kind of the labor discussion on this, I think we're of the same opinion with this, where we just don't have enough people for these roles. There's such significant labor shortages that a lot of farmers are probably trying to hire people and unable to. Like a lot of people don't want to go into farming and don't want to be tractor drivers and this kind of thing. But can you talk a little bit about the labor
You
from
know how to
your perspective?
ride with the shift gear?
Yeah.
Okay. Most of people at your age already don't know. You need to press a clutch to drive a tractor. We
Hmm.
don't burn a clutch. Young
Yeah.
people, they don't know. They just don't know how to drive a tractor. And not only they don't know, they don't find any reason to drive for 8 or 10 hours with the chemicals on them and
Oh yeah.
suffering, or being at the high sun and suffering from that part. So
Yeah.
it's we see even in Latin America and any other place, you don't have people who wants to do that job anymore. The baby boomers are now
Yeah.
starting to be in pension. They are
Uh-huh.
starting their pension. They
I
were the
think more than
last.
half of them are
Yeah.
retired now at this
And
point.
and they, yeah, exactly, and they were the last tractor operators and running. So, and the amount of tractors that is needed is huge. So
Mm-hmm.
I think just in Washington State right now there is a lack of around 30,000 tractor drivers,
Wow.
and,
Yeah.
and the prices are they're soared above $20 an hour a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
and to drive a tractor in California. So these and the quality is not good enough. And when you wanted to a person to drive 2 miles per hour, 8 hours, the same speed, okay,
Mm-hmm.
he's unable. And
Mm-hmm.
downtime, you need to stop, you need to, to have a rest, to eat and everything. So
Mm-hmm.
in an 8 hour shift, we found out that people are driving, the tractor is driving around 4.5 hours. When it's an
Wow.
autonomous vehicle doing the same
You
thing,
do the whole
it's
time.
7 hours and 10 minutes because you just stop for refills on the stand.
That's
Okay,
great.
you don't stop for a chat. You can coordinate when the refilling will be, so it will be always one in refill and all the other three are still running. And
Mm-hmm.
somehow when it's manned operation, everybody is gathering around at the same time for a refill and to have a chat about Sunday's football. So this is this is what's happened. And so it's not just on the quality on being accurate. When you're asking a robot to drive 2 miles per hour, it drives exactly. It's if
Mm-hmm.
you wanted to, when there is an anomaly, you react immediately. You don't postpone it.
Mm-hmm.
Availability, all those issues are just huge. And what is also beautiful is that we see people coming to Blue White, to Fresno, to Central Valley, to Washington State, to Yakima, coming from Seattle, coming from San Francisco, from the Bay Area, saying, "Hey, I love this. I can work with the iPad." And diversity-wise, it's not just men. We have men, women, handicapped, and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
with the ability to operate. And when we're talking to growers, they say, at last, there is a reason for my son or daughter to come back and work with me,
Ah.
and not to send them to work in Amazon in Seattle or something like that. So
Hmm.
we are transforming the new blue collar of 21st century from pilots and drivers to robot operators, and we see it live in front of us.
That's so cool. What do you so I guess what role will the farmers have in this? So I love the vision. Um, where where is the person adding value to the operation in this, the farmer?
This is the autonomous farm is not a farm without people. It's a
Mm-hmm.
it's a farm with people that have robots that help them, and they have data system that gives them recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
But bottom line, the decision making, the hunch, the what is needed, and it's a data-based decision making, and this is what's happening. And we see it in other places. We see it in our classic day-to-day other job that we are doing, that we get recommendation if it's how to drive from one place to another. Yet you still drive, right? And other things like that. The idea is that we want those people who have so many skills and hunches about
Mm-hmm.
how the farm should run, and they have the ability to just deal with this and not deal with, okay, the simple things of just drive that block of 200 acres 2 miles per hour. We shouldn't put a
Mm-hmm.
human on that part. Put them on, okay, should it be today? Should it be tomorrow? Let's look at oh, it's going to rain right now. Okay, so let's go and do this and that. These are the areas where we see humans bring the maximum factor. And it will
Mm-hmm.
be like that also for quite a while.
Yeah, I like that. So they're the decision makers. And I imagine there's also a lot of tasks that are just hard to automate around the farm
Yes.
that plenty of people will be involved with too. But they can shift from also doing the tractor work to just doing these very hard to automate tasks, and it makes the labor gap a little smaller with
Beautiful
that kind
point.
of thing.
Great point. I will use that also when I talk the next time. Uh, because yes, what we, for example, we insisted to keep the seat vacant, with that you
Mm-hmm.
can in a switch of a button move from autonomy to manual, because you cannot do
Oh,
everything. Or you just, I
no.
don't know, you want to do take it cross it through a paved road, and
Mm-hmm.
to bring it to the other side of the block, to another place that is without, it's not out there. So
Mm-hmm.
all things like that, the ability to go from manual to autonomy, the ability to do those hard tasks, or those tasks that we talked about that are yet to be accomplished, definitely yes.
Do you think that we're so? What strikes me is I think this is an incredibly smart approach where it's you allow the humans to still use the machinery just as or the tractor the just as they would before it was outfitted with autonomous capabilities, so that they can do certain unstructured things that would probably be a pain to get the robot to do, and maybe
Yeah.
it's just a one-off thing.
A lot of
Do
growers
you
use
think?
it as meditation, by the way. They just say, "Hey, I
Ah,
need just 1 hour to drive with my tractor. Just don't take it away from me." I'm guessing it's like
ah.
horses. Okay, you still like to just ride a horse, but at the time, but to do the job with the horse, no, I'm
You don't
okay
want
with
to do
that.
it. Yeah, like I like driving just a little bit,
Yeah,
but I
exactly,
don't want to drive all the time. Yeah,
exactly, exactly.
8 hours a day is too much. Yeah,
Too much.
that's so funny. They're like, ah, just go in there, see how it's feeling, see how it's running. I love that. But so going just a little further, going further into the future, do you imagine that we're going to start building agriculture? Maybe, and I wonder the timeline for this, but building tractors and things like this that are not manned, maybe we can optimize them so that they don't have, like, I'm sure that there's different considerations in making a tractor that would result in a slightly different form if we say, oh, it doesn't need a human on it. Um, do you think that we're going to be moving towards there? And I think the approach of retrofitting existing tractors is much smarter than trying to initially create tractors that don't, like custom made, very expensive. They need to buy a whole new fleet again. But moving towards, in the long term, a
Mhm.
world where tractors may not have people on them ever. Um, Tell me a bit about that, I guess.
So, and this is my personal view, okay, and we can track it also from what we've seen in manned and unmanned aerial vehicles, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what I think we'll see in the next, few, I'd say 3 to 5 years, we'll see more and more tractors that are coming out of the line that are more digital,
Mm-hmm.
with going from mechanical to digital, and from digital to drive by wire. And then the next generation will be with sensors already integrated inside. And then we will see what is beautiful about tractor, that is multi-mission. Okay, I can do it for so many things, and the growers are more innovative than whoever invented that tractor on what to do with it. So you
Yeah.
still want that flexibility, this multi-mission vehicle. So I
Mm-hmm.
see the seat staying there
Always
vacant
being there.
for quite a while. We will see
Mm.
some classic robots where it's not a seat, like just for certain, just like, I don't know, land mowers, or that we see in our house, near our houses, or all
Mm.
kinds of, cleaning machines and things like that. So the very simplified ideas. The thing will be the balance on the cost of material.
Mm-hmm.
And these machines are huge. And if
Mm-hmm.
now, because you don't have a chair over there, half of the season it just sits and you're not using it, it's not the
Not
correct
good.
way to do
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
so I think this, and we will see until I'm guessing 2030, 2035, at least. We will see still tractors going out with manual and autonomous.
Mm-hmm.
2030, we'll start to see them with the autonomous inside capabilities, and still think about transition and how long does it take to adopt and things like that. So we're off to hybrid aftermarket area for the next 15 years, 10 to
Mm-hmm.
15 years. Again, it's a huge investment to buy a tractor for the growers. It's
Mm-hmm.
zero thought in a way, very easy once trust is made to take an aftermarket kit because you see ROI. Small
Mm-hmm.
example, just to have a cabin on a tractor with air condition and anti-chemical capabilities because you're driving in chemical area environment. This alone costs more than the setup fee of an autonomous vehicle.
Yeah. Wow.
So most of our tractors that you will see around are without a cabin at all.
Oh yeah, because so then the person's just sitting out there, and
Yeah,
for these really poisonous tasks, you just
you
don't
go
have the person
autonomy.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I like that. And it makes a lot of sense what you were saying, where it kind of gradually bleeds into having more of these features that would enable autonomy. I would
yes,
think of it, it's almost like vehicles, like cars
yeah,
would be kind of similar, where you add ABS brakes and then you add lane keeping and
yeah,
then you add, and it just gets more and more sophisticated. Now cars have ultrasonics on them, and you're starting to see different sensors. Some have cameras, and then eventually it enables more and more
yeah.
autonomy,
You'll still
and
need
maybe
that.
we'll see that.
Yeah, you'll still need that autonomous, that operating
The
system that you
driver's
are
seat.
used to. So,
Uh-huh.
so you still want that blue white autonomous system that is able to operate operating system for any type of tractors, whether it's autonomy from the shop or aftermarket. And you'll
Mm-hmm.
still want the connectivity on the implements to make sure that everything is running and going correctly. You'll still want the ability to use the data to different
Mm-hmm.
various areas. And
Mm-hmm.
so these are the things that keeps it evergreen on the need for
Mm-hmm.
that. And what we see also that we will see more and more blue-white algorithms and capabilities that have been matured with millions of hours
Yep.
implemented in the tractor companies inside.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be so cool. Because I would imagine from your perspective, as that shift happens in 15 years or more to become like where you don't need the seat for the operator,
Mhm.
I would imagine Blue White will be incredibly well positioned to make the jump to autonomy without an operator seat.
Yep.
And that will be awesome.
We want to be the leading company for data-driven farms, off-road,
Yep.
mining, and hopefully
Oh, wow.
space. The first,
Oh, that's so
the first
interesting. Okay.
farming in space will be, and also I'm guessing the last will be by robots and by autonomous vehicles. We
Yeah.
see ourselves as farmers and working with the farmers wherever and whenever humankind is at needs. This is where we are.
Yeah, and so the big advantage, well, I guess if you solve this problem for tractors, you can also solve this for big mining vehicles. It's a fairly similar problem,
Yeah,
I would imagine. Maybe it's more waypoint routing and this kind of thing rather
yeah,
than back and forth,
yeah,
but it's still following a path,
yeah.
I
It's
suppose. It's the
just too
same thing.
costly to mature it over there. To do 1 million
Yep.
hours in mining and 1 million hours in agriculture. In agriculture, I can do
Oh,
it while people are earning money.
that is such a clever thing. I did not understand that. Yeah, you're right because you're getting these tractors are mowing. If you can automate it, you can have them mowing around the clock,
Yeah,
and then you're getting so many hours of operation. You're testing your systems, really
maturing
hardening everything.
those algorithms that are not really still on the decision making side, but they're on the maturity side. So you have
Yep.
like a real live laboratory that is
Hmm.
running, and not just a simulation that we're also doing.
Yep, and also providing value too while it's learning.
Exactly.
I really like that.
Yeah.
What's the what's the space applications? That sounds so interesting. Like, what do you imagine for that? I have no idea what farming in space or mobility in space. I guess if you're on Mars and we want to drive things around from here to there, we probably want autonomous systems to do it. Is that what you mean, or
Yes,
what kind
definitely
of
yes.
space
And I think
applications?
these are the application that will be sensor based before we are doing a global positioning system in each
Ah
and
ha ha.
every planet. And the idea is
Oh,
how
that's
do
super
I
cool.
can navigate and monitor, and there will be those implements that are space implements that are needed to do whatever is needed over there. So there will be always the relationship between different type of vehicles that are running, different type of implements that are running, and operating system that can suit them all and integrate everything. It can be either not just air vehicles, but also air, not just ground vehicles, but also air and ground all together under one operating
Ah,
system. And the idea that
yeah.
the core infrastructure of what we have built, and we invested a lot on the infrastructure, is to have the ability to grow and to adapt to those areas and not to be just stuck and pinpointed on one certain vehicle, one certain implement, one certain environment.
Yeah, that would be limiting for sure. And so having it be flexible for all these vehicles opens up a lot. And then, yeah, you have such diverse applications or domains, space to mining to farming. That's very cool. Let's see. So with space, just one more space question, then we'll get back to more practical things, or more sooner things, I suppose. Do you imagine it'll be on the moon or on Mars, or where would you think would be like the first application
I
of these
think it will be
vehicles?
in a place with an atmosphere, whether it's an
So
atmosphere
not the moon,
done
right?
by humans, a dome-like, or a place that has some kind of an atmosphere.
Gotcha. Okay, very cool. I can't wait until that future is here. I hope it's not too long.
I hope, I'm guessing it will happen into your lifetime.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's see. So I wanted to talk about the data because we haven't really talked too much about the data that you're getting and then the uses for it. So we've gone up the whole application stack. You have these actuators and sensors on tractors, and then you have a cloud that connects it to farmers. And then you mentioned the ability to use that data in flexible ways to maybe assess, I don't know, help them with insurance or help them assess crop health over time or whatever it might be. Tell me a bit about the data and how you expose it and just how that whole process of adding value from the data that you're capturing works.
So, first and foremost, we see ourselves as we are in charge of whatever is moving in the farm, and while it's moving, to collect data and to distribute it to whoever needs it, as long as the grower approves it, and without infringing privacy. So the idea is that I don't see our Blue White as the company that needs to do agronomic evaluation. But think of it, if I can send whatever an agronomist need in order to evaluate what should be the spraying next, the next spray event, or is it the time to start harvesting, or can I predict yield? The idea is through the cloud, through the data lake that we have, we can process to whoever on demand, depending on the demands to whoever third party is there. So we can go to a grower and say, hey, okay, who's doing your yield prediction? Okay, I don't know, it's somebody in the farm or a company that you're working with, and we can fill them up with the information. For those data companies to gather the information, this
Oh, it's
what really
prohibitive.
kills
Yeah.
those companies, because they're spending so much effort, time, money on the operation cost to collect this data, and we can help. And the
Yeah,
same
because you're
data can
doing it
help
anyway.
to so many applications. The same data can help, carbon. People are talking about carbon savings and weather saving, all that, all those things.
That's really cool. I really like how you guys are drawing lines of what you'll do and what you'll let other people like. This is an opportunity, and you guys could maybe it becomes part of your vertical in a sense where you start helping people with the analysis of the data. But that's a future decision to make.
Yep.
But for now, it's like there's a line drawn, and you say, it's not our core competence. We're going to collect all it. We know it's valuable. But these other companies, like other businesses, can be founded around analyzing the data that you guys are generating. And so it's another, it's clever to me where you are deciding you're going to focus and what you're going to allow other people to scoop up for value in what you're already doing.
First of all, I think it's very important in general, and
Mm-hmm.
not to bully and not to be so aggressive and to think that we can be, ruling all the world. Second, we are a value-based company. Our values are fellowship, love of the land,
Mm-hmm.
and innovation. When we talk about
Mm-hmm.
fellowship, this is an exact example of what we're talking. We are not coming to the agriculture business who's been working for more than a century in
Trying to
a
scoop it
certain
all
way and
up.
say, okay, we don't need dealership, we don't need growers, we don't need tractor companies, we don't need the data company. No, we're blending in. We want to be
Mm-hmm.
enablers to all. We want everybody to say, hey, you know, Blue White is helping me. It was on the operation cost. It's not my cost. It's about
Mm-hmm.
the people and the people who work there, their healthcare, their safety, the ability to work without their having their back ache or any other hazardous event. So this is how I see it. And if you are focused and you are in a way you are transparent in where you are, this is why we have so many great connections with data companies like TELUS and others that are working with us, and communication companies that we talked about. We have from Israel or from the US. We work with Intel and others, growers,
Mm-hmm.
big, and also OEMs and also dealerships. And maybe it's too
Mm-hmm.
utopic. Maybe I'm too optimistic, but this is how I want to do it.
I think it's the better way to do it. It strikes me as, I mean, even like, even if it wasn't ethical, your position on this, I think it would be pragmatic. And what I mean is that you can't do everything. And if you try to do all of these other areas to monopolize it, you'll spread the company thin. You need to raise even more money to do even less good
Yeah.
across more areas. Um, so I think focusing on a core competence and then getting everything running, and then you can say, okay, maybe you can really work with these data companies
Yeah.
or like in the future.
Yeah.
But for now, just saying, hey, you have access to this. It's all free. Or maybe not free. They can pay for it even.
Yeah.
But it still is cheaper than them flying drones over the farm to
Right.
try to gather their data.
Hey,
This kind of thing.
Exactly. We need to be humble, yet assertive. On autonomous vehicles, we
Yeah.
understand. And how to go
Yes.
from 0 to 100 or from 100 to 10,000, we understand in this area. We've done it
Yep.
before. To be in places with no GPS, we understand. This is our happy place. But, we need to know what we know and what we don't know. I had no idea about agriculture. And my co-founder is an amazing, he grew in a farm and he was with tractor all his life. And so, do what you know how to do, learn from
Hmm.
others more things, and decide your boundaries.
Yeah, definitely. So tell me more about, so you said your co-founder has a lot of experience with tractors and with
He
this
just grew in a
ecosystem.
farm.
He grew up on a farm.
Nothing better than that.
Yeah, for sure. Is that a big way of, because what strikes me is that you guys are really trying to, and you said it earlier, you're trying to fit into the ecosystem. You're not trying to just like bully everyone and push them over and say, we do it all differently now.
Exactly.
You're trying to say, hey, I can make this one pain point easier, but everything else you know and work with, we work with too.
Mhm.
Tell me a bit about that, making yourself fit well in the ecosystem and maybe the role of your co-founder in fitting well in the ecosystem.
Uh, First of all, again, it comes with the values and attitude. This is one. Second is
Hmm.
the ability to be as transparent as possible. When you are transparent, when you are saying, okay, this is what I know how to do, and this is what I don't know, it creates openness. And the ecosystem, what I like about the agriculture ecosystem, that there is no logical reason to be in agriculture unless you are passionate about the
Mm.
mission, unless you are passionate and you understand that you are part of a greater cause of making food available to the world. And and you also understand that it's about trust, and trust is critical. So these values resonate together with the goals of myself and Yair, who founded the company with me. And together we understood that these values, this is what will enable us to work correctly.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I think you could probably even say that about robotics. So, like, doubly true what you're doing, where there's not a reason to be in it unless you're passionate about the mission.
Oh yeah,
So, robotics and agriculture,
yeah.
like the
Well, I'm
mission
doing it
squared.
for I'm doing it. I'm guessing almost 20 years dealing with unmanned systems and robotics. So I love it. I think it's part of the future. I love being part of the disruption. I love seeing the transformation from talking about will be adoption of robots there to discussion of where the hell are the robots? I need them now.
Yeah,
So
for
and
sure.
also the understanding also people, okay, robots cannot do everything. It's not going to fly and give you coffee at the right on the porch, and while it does it, it will also answer your telephone and send the email and do what the balance and understanding of what it can do, what it cannot do, and also on the development side to start with very repetitive, known missions and tasks, and just go it step by step. Do it with safety. Don't alienate it. Make it very simple to use. Um, make it in a way not just bipartisan for everybody, but also multi type of people that can run it. No matter on your how sophisticated are you. These are the things that really creates at the bottom line. These are more important. The blending in, the business model, the usage of existing assets. This is much more important than another algorithm that is over there.
Yeah, for sure. And it's also just the pragmatic way to approach it, too, I think. Um, so I really like that. So you've mentioned safety a few times. Tell me about making your equipment safe for this. And I wonder, like, do you do safety certification work or like match some sort of standards, or how do you
Oh
make your
yeah,
system safe?
we spend a lot of time on that one, from the system architecture, from the models, from the ability to record and learn. And what we have done also, we've integrated, because it's a new area, we've integrated a few standards from urban mobility, from military
Ah.
standards, from agriculture standards, from machinery standards, all mixed together in a way. We have internal safety commissions, we have external safety analysts to look at it. This is critical, this is backbone. And we are doing debriefs, we are collecting data of mishaps, not just something that happened, something that might have happened. Even
That's
for
awesome.
example, so these are critical things of how to go. It starts from system engineering. It goes along with system architecture and redundancies, and going the approach from inside the envelope, not breaking the envelope. And you cannot throw a
I don't.
tractor to a ditch and say, "Oh, it was too
Ah,
much."
yeah, for sure. Okay, and I bet that safety is a big part of the trust, getting farmers' trust, getting people's trust
So that,
in general. You need safe systems. They need to trust you with the tractor that they have, and they need to trust your system to treat it well and not drive it into a ditch, as you say.
yeah, there are so many accidents every day with humans, and we're still
Mm-hmm.
talking about Tesla accidents or Uber or Cruise or any others.
Mm-hmm.
And still they're much safer, but it's very hard to explain that it's safer because it's a technology and you're afraid and you're a bit skeptic and you don't have control, you feel that you don't have control when it will happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so, take it slowly. At the end of the day, it is statistics, okay? And accidents will happen for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You need to
Definitely.
see and to reduce as much as possible. Did you expect it? Did you do the correct risk mitigation? How was
Mm.
the risk analysis for that? How a big a surprise was it for you? This is how
Oh.
you look at it. But when it happened, did you not try to cover up, or were you open about it and published a debrief about it so everybody can learn? It's
Yeah.
about that, okay? Transparency. This is, mistakes happen. We're doing lots of mistakes every day. The question is,
Mm-hmm.
how do we behave when they happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. If you take ownership of it and say, okay, we understand it, we're trying to fix what's happened,
Yeah, we had
and like
we
even
had
we
an
messed up,
assumption. The
but
assumption was wrong. Anything like that,
yep.
I think it goes in everything in life. But when we're talking about robotics and integration and dealing with adoption and maturity, safety must be at the top level.
Yes, for sure. Now, I wanted to make sure we had a chance to talk about your C round of funding. So first, congrats
Thanks.
on the. It was, if I remember correctly, was it 39 million for C round funding,
Yes, it
or?
was a $39 million. We raised up to now around $85 million. We are humbled that it's with not only existing investors who believe in us, but also new investors coming in and joining the gang on this crazy journey.
Mm-hmm.
And we have amazing workers and amazing customers, and that we are working with all of them. They've
Mm-hmm.
also sent and expressed their love and their appreciation of what we're doing. And it also
Wonderful.
resonated with the investors. I think everybody understand how big the task is
Mm-hmm.
of creating this capability to the world. And we have investors from Israel, from the US, from Mexico, from Canada, and
Mm-hmm.
coming in and saying, hey, we want to be part of that journey. So this is what is going on right now. We
Mm-hmm.
see this investment that it will enable us to take it to the next step of maturing the product in a way that it can be distributed worldwide and to grow with more and more capabilities as we talked along this discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And until the next, and think the next either IPO or round, this is where we're going to. And stay tuned, I'm
Oh,
guessing.
exciting. Yeah, for sure.
And we are available to anyone. I mean, to be an entrepreneur in robotics, you need to be passionate and you need to be a dreamer.
Mm-hmm.
Would love to help to anyone that is at this status, whether it's personally or reach out to Blue White people,
Hell yeah.
LinkedIn or any other media that you think. And just remember that values come first. Doesn't matter what you do,
Mm-hmm.
make sure that values come first always. That's what I have from my side.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it seems like you guys are a very value-driven company, which is really nice because it's very cool to see. I imagine you've been this way since the early days, and seeing you as a larger company now who's in an exciting position to start scaling
Yeah.
their work, and the values are still driving you, which is very nice. And like doing a debriefing when something goes wrong, like I really like that idea. I feel like a lot of companies may just try to shove it under the rug when something goes wrong, but being transparent and I don't know, trying to lift up the whole agriculture industry
We have
seems,
responsibility.
yeah.
I mean, to take this round, if we fail, the next investor won't invest in the other robotic company who might be the
Hmm.
successful one, right? So we cannot
Definitely.
fail. And we need to be very mindful of what we're doing. We have
Hmm.
responsibility on the agriculture. We have responsibility. It's not just take the money and run. This is not why at this age I've decided to spend every time of my life on this on what we're doing right now. So it's
Hmm.
responsibility, and that's about it, you know?
Hmm. I like that a lot. Yeah, because you see a need and you are trying to help it.
Yeah,
And you're right that there are big implications for any startup that's following, because if the big robotic startup goes bust, it makes if an investment in robotics goes bad, it makes all future investments a little more difficult.
yeah,
And it may discourage people, and you may burn some farmers. And if you burn some farmers, maybe they're hesitant to adopt
yeah.
robotics technology in the future. So yeah, it's interesting to think of it as an ecosystem.
Yeah. Robotics, if you're in robotics in the next decade, um, think of yourself as a crusader.
Love
And
it.
this is how and think of it that you are responsible to how fast will the world adopt those
Hmm.
capabilities. And if you have a hunch that it's a wrong path, what you're trying to do, you are correct. Go to a better one and make it easier. Make it easier on yourself. Make it easier on the
Ah.
ecosystem. Develop what is needed, but be. It's a warrior type environment where you need to do it, and I believe I see amazing companies here,
Hmm.
and I see also amazing successful companies that I wish we can be just like them.
Hell yeah. And yeah, I think the next years for robotics are going to be exciting and difficult.
Yeah,
And I see it as very necessary. Like I've been kind of focusing on the labor shortages
yeah,
for a while, and I really feel like robotics is a way that we live in the future while labor shortages are happening and populations are aging and this kind of thing, and we maintain our quality of life. I feel like robotics has an important,
yeah.
it will be important for us to figure out how robots can get in and help
I
in a
think
lot
it's
of situations.
you're correct. It's labor shortage and labor transformation. We don't
Mm-hmm.
need to do this job anymore. Okay, we don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
There is no reason. If you want to work out,
Yeah.
just do workout. Don't take stones on your back and climb a hill
Mm-hmm.
just
Makes sense.
for work. I
Yes.
just wanted to say really, first of all, thank you for having me, and it was great that you have this show thing talking about robotics, talking about from the technology, but not just the technology, how to implement it to the world. I
Mm-hmm.
listened to some of your podcast before, and I learned from this a lot. I hope more and more people will come to the show and share, not just the happiness, but also the struggles. And there are huge amount of struggles in order to make it. And
Mm-hmm.
really, just to say thank you for having me here.
Hell yeah. Well, it's been absolutely wonderful speaking with you and learning more about Blue White.
Cheers.
So thank you. All right. Bye, everyone.
See you, everybody. Bye bye.
You made it. What'd you think? Blue White is doing a great job, aren't they? What other robotics companies have you seen that are doing a good job fitting into an existing ecosystem like agriculture? I'm curious to know in the comments or on X. If you like this interview, you'll probably like the weekly spaces I'm hosting on X. I often have a guest, and we do a short interview where you get to ask your questions. They've been a lot of fun, and there's a great community on X. If you're interested, they're Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Just look for @Audrow on X. That's all for now. Happy building.